Welcome back, friends, to another nighttime story with sunshine. Picking up where we left off yesterday with Nerd Girls by Alan Lawrence Sittomer, we're on chapter 2. Let's begin. Don't you just love your new cell phone, Maureen? Beanpole asked as she pushed a bunch of buttons. Well, I don't want to French kiss it like you do yours, I replied. You think maybe you can put that thing away for like 5 minutes? I thought we were having a conversation here. Sure, she said, but I could tell she didn't really want to. Slowly, Beanpole placed her new celly back inside her gray and pink backpack, but of course she did it in a way that let her still spy the screen, as if she were expecting a text message from the president or something. Truth was, there was no cell service where we were sitting. I mean, I guess I could let bygones be bygones, I admitted, but I don't trust them. I just know the three P's are gonna try to get us. You're being paranoid, Beanpole assured me. That whole slam book thing, you do realize you made it up all in your head, right? Whatever, I said as I returned to my lunch. Twinkies. Statistically speaking, very few non chocolate foods rank higher on the taste bud pleasure scale than Twinkies. And if bacon was taken off the list, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a winner. I thought you were, trying to watch what you ate, Beanpole said in a friendly, non critical tone. Yeah, well, I've been kind of yo dieting these past few weeks, I confess. Don't you mean yo yo dieting? She said. Nah, it's been pretty one sided lately. Beanpole watched as I enjoyed another bite of my midday cuisine, gooey white cream injected into a tube of yellow colored cake. Come on, how genius is that? She smiled, warm and kind. Beanpole was always warm and kind, and friendly and considerate too. Could there be anything more annoying? And in her kindest way, she said, But you were doing so well on your diet there for a while. Diets, like rules, are meant to be broken, I insisted as I popped the last bite of Twinkie into my mouth. I said, finger licking good. And trust me, nobody ever licks their fingers after eating celery stalks. Again, Beanpole smiled, gentle and nice. Didn't she know that when the space invaders came, they were going to eat the gentle and nice people first? Essentially, I am short and squat, and Beanpole is tall and thin. I am sarcastic and skeptical. Beanpole is cheerful and optimistic. I am moody, indecisive, and greatly lacking in self esteem. Beanpole is outgoing, generous, and ready to try anything. If it's true that opposites attract, then she and I are magnetized. Ah, you can't give up on yourself, Mo, Beanpole said. Remember, you're all you've got. Yeah, and you just happen to have a lot. I glared at the girl sitting next to me, the one who had just made the comment. Especially, she added, grinning from ear to ear, when it comes to the size of your butt. Remember the Allergy Alice girl I mentioned, the one I saved? Well, that is the third member of our flock. Q is her name. At least that's what I call her, and she is, well, how do I say this nicely? Q is a freak. I started calling her Q a few months ago because calling someone Allergy Alice every time you want to speak to her is just too much of a mouthful. She needed a shorter name. Besides, everything the girl says or does is a mental, medical, or social mystery, like some sort of giant question mark. So the name Cube made sense. And that ch 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 sound, it came from the NASA approved scuba tank she always carried around with her. All right, it isn't a real scuba tank. In reality, it's an inhaler, like filled with protein inhibitors that are supposed to keep her pancreas from oozing out her ear or something like that. Essentially, Q has a few allergies, but only to small, rare, hard to encounter things like water, air, and grass. Fact is, I've seen a few weird wads in my day, but Q is the strangest, most offbeat, most peculiar kid I've ever met. It's what I most like about her. Q is who she is, and she is it all the time. She just doesn't care what other people think. Q wears scarves in 88-degree weather and doesn't care what other people think. Q attaches a tissue dispenser to her belt loop and doesn't care what other people think. Q uses a spork to eat her lunch, finding the functionality of a spoon fork combo efficient and environmentally conscious. What guts! I mean, who at this school just can be who they are without worrying about what everyone else thinks? Sure, Q is a kook, but she is also the kid least likely to give into peer pressure, which when I really think about it, might make her the least kooky kid on campus. Bizarre how that makes sense, right? Anyway, put together, me, Q, and Beanpole made up the Nerd Girls, feared by all we were not. Achoo! Q sneezed and then pulled out a tissue from her belt loop holster. Lunch for her today consisted of boiled carrots and skinless apples with a few wheat-free, gluten-free, flavor-free crackers tossed in for good measure. Some kids are lactose intolerant. Q is an element on the periodic table intolerant. Is this bothering you? Beanpole asked, holding up a tuna sandwich that had been made in the shape of a bald eagle. Beanpole's mom always prepared her daughter's food around themes and motifs. Today's were courage and bravery. Don't ask. No, it's not the sandwich, Q answered. It's all the dust in here. For some reason, Beanpole had decided that the three of us should eat lunch indoors today. Way indoors. Like inside the art classroom indoors. I had stopped asking questions about stuff like this a while ago, figuring that, hey, when you're friends with whack jobs, you do wacky things. You need to leave? Beanpole asked. Nah, Q replied. Aside from this lumpy chair, I like the atmosphere. You're sitting on a paintbrush, I informed her. Oh. Q lifted her rear, picked up the paintbrush, and looked at the bristles. I was wondering why my tush felt all prickly. A moment later, Q put the paintbrush right back underneath her butt. You're still gonna sit on it? I asked. It's kind of like a bristly massage, she replied, and tingles are good for my pulmonary circulation. Yep, every day a new adventure. I gazed around the art room. Paint cans, half finished ceramic sculptures, fans to dry paper mache projects, all kinds of cheerful, arty-farty stuff filled the space. Just out of curiosity, I picked up some dweeb's nearly finished coffee cup and noticed that it was decorated with yellow smiley faces. You know, I said philosophically, I don't see why kids our age are always supposed to be cheery and blissful and popping with joy all the time. I mean, the only thing I'm popping with is zits. Beanpole, however, wasn't listening. Instead, her eyes were glued to her phone. She checked for a new text message. Nothing. Can I just say for the record that I love my new phone? She remarked. Alice, do you love your new phone? The plastic casing makes my ears itch. I have to talk on ch 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 speaker with it. May I continue with the point I was trying to make? I asked as I reached for the apricot I packed for lunch. Well, the apricot strudel. We need to be on guard against an attack from the snobwads. It really bothers me that my mom doesn't go out, Q interjected, nibbling on a carrot. I mean, she has absolutely no life outside of worrying about me. It's like her entire existence revolves around me. Are we not going to discuss the three P's? I asked. That's because she loves you, Alice, Beanpole said, and she's concerned that something might happen to you. I'll take that as a no, I said, even though neither of them was acknowledging me. But I'm stronger than she thinks I am, Q said. I mean, I'm not an invalid. You get lightheaded from corn, I said, jumping into their conversation. Hey, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, right? Not exactly the stuff of Supergirl there, Q. Well, I need to do something. She sacrificed enough for me these past couple of years. Too much. Q paused and considered it. Yep, I'm gonna do something. What? I asked. Almost nobody on campus knew the real truth about Q, but Beanpole and I did. There had been an accident, a terrible car crash, in which Q's father and sister had died. Q's mother wasn't in the car at the time, but Q was, right in the back seat. Incredibly, she survived, but she was the only one. Stuff like that will mess you up. I don't know what I'm gonna do, Q told us, but I'm gonna do something. I have to. It's my mom. Q used to hide her emotions and bury her feelings, but ever since she came clean about the guilt of surviving and feeling as if the car accident was her fault, she's turned into some sort of fountain of honesty, at least among us, that is. To the outside world, Q is still a semi-odd recluse, but with Beanpole and me, she is a straight shooter. Like, for example, if she likes your purple t-shirt, she'll tell you, cool purple shirt. But if she thinks your green flip-flops look weak, she'll tell you, lame-o feet canoes, try a new set of tow kayaks. Yeah, sometimes you have to decode what she's talking about, but still, she tells it like it is. Me, I struggle with honesty and expressing my real feelings. I mean, my mom could put on 45 pounds and walk around the house knocking picture frames off the table with her butt, and still I'd say things like, put on weight? Nope, haven't noticed a thing, but perhaps you could pass the donuts. Sarcasm's more my thing. I blame television. You know, I said, thinking about this, I say we make a pact so to be truthful with one another. Really honest. Beanpole, tell me something honest. Beanpole raised her eyes and thought deeply about the question. I love my new phone. How profound. I see Nobel Prizes in your future. Q, how about you? I said. Tell me one thing, one honest thing, just one truthful thing about this whole mixed up crazy universe. Your gluteus says aardvarks on it, she replied. Aardvarks is a Shh, shh, shh. Funny word. Put my hands on my hips, and turned to show the lettering on my backside. Might I point out that these are the new Capri-style school athletic pants I'm wearing? I answered. You know, trying to show some school spirit over here. Aardvarks. Don't say that. Aardvarks. Less funny the second time. Actually, it was the fourth, Q answered. Accurate statistics are important to me. Shh, 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 shh. Aardvark, fifth time. Deep breaths, Maureen, I told myself. Deep breaths. Well, what's wrong with being an aardvark anyway? I like being an aardvark, Beanpole declared. Then, to emphasize her point, she stood like George Washington about to make a speech at Valley Forge. After all, I am who I am. Bam! Beanpole smashed her head into a shelf on the wall, banging her noggin so hard I thought she'd given herself concussion. Oh yeah, in case I forgot to mention, Beanpole is prone to accidents the same way I am prone to cookies. Don't worry, I'm okay, she declared, sitting down and rubbing the top of her cranium. I'm okay. Can you guys please just tell me one thing, I asked, and be honest. I hesitated, reluctant to say the words aloud, even to my closest friends. Do these pants make my thighs look, like turkey drumsticks? Beanpole studied my legs. You mean like the kind injected with hormones to plump 'em up? I glared. No, not at all, Beanpole said, backpedaling. Not at all. You are so unconvincing. I reached for my backpack. All right, can we leave now, please? We're not even supposed to be in here. But they never locked the door, Beanpole said. The lock's busted, Q said, smelling her carrot stick before taking another bite. Whole school knows it. That doesn't mean we're allowed in here, I said. And why do you smell your carrot sticks before you eat them? Aardvark. Well, if we get caught in here, I said, we're going to get into trouble. Not if we don't mess anything up, Beanpole said. Aardvark, ninth time. Why are you, Barbara Beanpole Tanner, the #1 rule follower of the century, defending our presence here? I asked. Besides, the bell's going to ring and I don't want to be late for class. Now come on, enough with this, let's go. We can't, Beanpole replied, remaining seated. Not yet. Why? I asked. She looked down, clearly hiding something. Beanpole, because I invited the 3Ps here to eat lunch with us so we could bury the hatchet. You did what? I shouted. Q's eyes popped wide open. This was clearly news to her, too. Why would you do such a thing? 'Cause I wanted to make peace between us all, Beanpole said. Kids at the same school should get along. Q reached for her inhaler and took a few slurps. The 3Ps had already tormented her enough to last a lifetime, maybe even two, and even though Q had come out of her shell around us, people whom she trusted all her life, she had been ridiculed by divas like the 3Ps, kids who cared more about their pedicures than they did about global warming, and it had scared her. After all, it's one thing not to care what other people think about the way you dress and act. It's totally another to be the piñata that brats like to smash with nastiness simply for their own entertainment. I already agreed that I'd let bygones be bygones, I said. Isn't that enough? That's not peace, Beanpole replied. The tension is still off the charts whenever we're near them. I mean, just look at what happened with the slam book. But I don't want to eat lunch with them, I said. I don't even want to go to the same school as them. I just want to, not deal with them ever. That's exactly what I mean, Beanpole answered. This is why we need to meet and clear the air. Q remained silent. Not a fan, I said. Not a fan at all. Well, you can't always avoid things when you have issues with people in your life, Maureen. Beanpole said in a motherly tone. No offense, but it's kind of immature. Immature? Me? Immature? How would you like an injection of Twinkie cream up your nose? Well, if that's not a mature way to handle conflict resolution, I don't know what is, Beanpole replied. Is that why you keep checking your phone? I asked. Yeah, they're late, she said, cocking her head to one side. And it doesn't make sense either, 'cause we've been planning this for like 3 days. Planning? What? Planning what for 3 days? Lunch? Kiki said they needed 3 days, Beanpole told me, to get it all set up. Get what set up? Beanpole, this doesn't make any sense. Then suddenly it did. Once we heard the door close, followed by a loud click, that is. What's was that? I said, looking toward the door. I crossed the room and tried the handle. Locked, I said. I glanced around. There were no other doors. We're locked in. And that is the end of chapter 2. And thank you for anyone who had a moment to stop by and hear a part of the story. If you are interested for chapter 3, I will be reading that tomorrow night, same time. So for now, I thank you all for joining. And until next time.